5.
Get a drink first.
4.
Okay, whistle is wet. Continue.
3, 2, 1.
Last time on Louder Than Podcasts, we had a schedule set, and finally, the archive has been fully assembled. Today, we gather Chris, Taylor, Eric, and Ferox at the precipice of disaster. Will our audio issues finally overtake the brave heroes? Will the Louder Than Podcasters confront this new enemy whom has never been heard of before? Will Discord see the redundancy of their Discord topic and shut them down? Find out this time on Louder Than Podcast.
That was extremely relevant.
I'm very okay with doing the intro every time. So,
dude, I improv those on the spot, so I try to be as relevant as possible.
It's great. So let's start with Discord. So with Discord, they updated their privacy to make it more family friendly, I'm assuming, and they're kind of cracking down on not safe for work channels. While you can do certain porn channels, they are very against revenge porn and things that are similar to lolly, which is I guess ecchi, which is kind of like
not lolly and ecchi are different things.
I know. I mean, like they were saying how the way they were was that it was just them in poses, not like actually doing.
Yeah, the thing that I read said that it was just like straight up like lolly porn and like.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But there, it was
for head pats. It's just straight up lolicon.
Yeah, yeah.
So, as Chris said earlier, as reference to Rick and Morty, this is kind of just a long way around pedophilia.
That was the pre-show, dude.
Yeah, I know, but we didn't.
They weren't here.
Yeah, so that's why I had to bring it back.
Fair enough.
So I'm totally so. Long story short, there's a Final Fantasy server, a really big one, is a partner server, that got hit with I wouldn't say the band hammer, but they got smacked around by the mods.
They lost their partnership.
Yes. So they lost their partner and a lot of their power, and some of the people in the group are kind of mad about it, that they can't appeal. But to be honest, I'm kind of siding with Discord on this one, because the whole point of being a partner is to have more power to moderate your own servers, which they did not do.
Well, can you really argue? Okay, we're not gonna really get into the topic of our lollies pedophilia, because that has nothing really to do with our point here. I just want to put that out there before we start talking about it.
I think that for this story is it for
dude, you are a robot right now. You're not even human.
Quit stealing my bit.
Well, I was going for my robot overlords.
I'm telling. I'm not going to trust you. And by the next 2 episodes, I'm actually going to come to your house and dismantle you with wire cutters.
I only trust you slightly more than Arnie making another Terminator.
Listen, me and my brother Bender me and my brother Tommy. But I think so. Am I okay now?
Yeah.
All right. So I feel like the real point of discussion is it okay for Discord to strip a partner of their rights and not give them a chance to appeal the case?
Just before we go into that, one thing that I read about, which was surprising when the article came across, was that these rule changes went into effect in February. And only now are we getting this kind of lash back against people getting banned on the premise of it.
See, I think where there needs to be a distinction for this conversation is that it's not, they didn't lose their partnership simply because of the NSFW channel. It's because of the details of what was inside the if you want to say more illegal looking things, but
and I don't want
it's not simply because of having that.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the specifics of whether or not lolicon translates into pedophilia pornography.
Right.
This was an extension of Discord's policy on the depiction of minors and those under 18.
Yeah.
That was the basis of the ban.
Right, which we can agree is like fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
you know, without getting into the minutia of, well, if they're not actually, you know, under 18, whatever. But like, I think the problem I have with it is the mods have gone on record saying we wanted to make everything right, and instead of Discord being like, hey guys, like, can you get on this? They were saying, oh, well, you know, we hold you to a higher standard than this, you're screwed eternally. And I think that, you know, moderating something, I half of it is kind of intent, right? Like, as long as you want to do a good job, that kind of makes you already better than a lot of mods. So, I'm not saying that, I get it, they were partnered, they were held to a higher standard. To a big extent, I agree with that. But at the same time, you know, how many mods do you need that they just did or didn't have? What's the full story there?
I didn't really see anything about
Eric, I'm hearing like 2 words, dude.
I'm gonna be like mostly listening now. Hopefully my internet feels better.
Yeah.
I think you're buffering harder than your stream.
Damn, this is new.
New intel.
I can't start talking shit or it's going to happen on my end.
Fair enough.
Mr. Rapato.
Okay, so we know about these rule changes going into effect months ago, but only now we're starting to see the backlash. And one thing that, call me naive, I did not realize there were this many NSFW channels and people that were specifically posting pornographic content on Discord.
I mean,
yeah,
it's a huge thing.
It's pretty big. There's like there's servers that are just like, they're like 150% dedicated to just that, and everything's like categorized, and like they've got it all down to a science.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But, and it's like, you know, it's a good platform for it because, like, it's, you know, like, you moderate your own server, so...
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of have to be aware that if you have a channel for NSFW content, you're going to have to moderate it a little more, I guess I'll say diligently, but at the same time, you know, when there is that much content on a partnered server, how do you go about the process of hiring mods, and when do you have enough? I just think it was a little much to just say, like, you don't get a chance to prove that you know what you're doing. And
that's what the big argument is right now, is that they are not giving a chance to be like, hey, we've tried.
Yeah, they pretty much said you fucked up forever. Like,
is there a chance for them to reapply for their partnership? Like, I'm not saying appeal this current process, but just the idea of getting it again in the future.
That I'm not sure of. Let me double check the article. Hang on.
If it's the one you linked, then there's nothing in there to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, yeah, that's what I really saw on the topic, the Polygon article.
There's nothing in there that says they are permanently prohibited from attaining a partnership status in the future. It just says they've had it stripped away currently.
Yeah, here's the so based on literally what I read, they received an email to remove the channel as it violated the company's TOS. The server would be deleted otherwise, so they took action. But then Discord said, okay, you're not partners still. But they said, but we did what you told us. Like, and then they basically said, like, ooh, but you already fucked up. We held you to a higher standard than this.
Yeah, I think that if they didn't do it, they would probably just threaten to shut the whole thing down and not just take away the partnership status. But that is speculation.
Yeah. Now, what I also kind of wonder, and I think deserves a bit of an explanation, considering they didn't mention this in the topic, or in the article rather. How did they find it?
Oh,
What do you mean?
He did. The people from the group message Discord.
Okay, that's what I had figured happened. I didn't like automatically jump to, oh my god, it's, you know, fucking they're watching us. No, I figured there was a reasonable explanation for it, but
Yeah, someone in the group was like, "Hey, I'm very comfortable. The mods aren't changing it, so can you please do something?"
I mean,
That's like the TLDR of it.
Right. No, that's valid. Yeah, I think that I'm just kind of I kind of have a very weirdly Switzerland view on this, where on one hand you shouldn't let your channel get out of hand. If you know there's a not safe for work channel, you know, you should expect that things like this might happen. But on the other hand, first of all, lolly is a delicate subject, to put it lightly, and they did comply. I don't know. I don't know. This is tougher. This is honestly a tougher approach
honest,
than I thought it would be. Yep.
Discord has to take it too.
What?
I feel like Discord has to take it this way for like also PR reasons.
Yeah. That you think they're just kind of like protecting their
They don't want to be like,
their image?
because I feel like if I don't know, this is like I feel like this kind of information won't get outside like a certain bubble of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's a big deal. But like for them to like, I feel like they have to try to like protect themselves from like any criticism, because right now they are like I would say the #1 platform for communication. Like it used to be like unless older people use Skype still, but Discord I feel like is the biggest name, so I feel like they have to like put their foot down on certain things.
And
you know what I mean?
would you argue that they are still too new to deal with the kind of criticism that, let's say, an older platform like Skype could still like kind of fend off the criticism
and plus,
from?
Like, hacking.
Eric, we got maybe 3 words of that.
Yep.
Are you still trying, or?
Yes. Is it not work?
No, it's
Not
not.
at all.
Beautiful. Okay. How about now?
You're all sorts of fucked up today. Okay, I think maybe.
Hello. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Good enough.
Great. So, what as I was saying was like, while Discord is just Discord, Skype has Microsoft backing them.
Yeah, I think Discord is still trying to get their feet wet, and they're not really able to find their footing. The idea of Discord having this basically zero tolerance, you fuck up, doesn't matter what you do, you're out policy is something that you expect from Twitch or YouTube. And this isn't a streaming service, this is just a chatting app, basically.
Right.
It's not an unusual policy in the present day. It's not a good policy for my tastes, but it's not unusual.
No, I agree on both those fronts. It's kind of expected, but also shitty.
Yeah, the big plus of flagging stuff like this Switzerland style, though, is that you actually have mods engaging. Unlike YouTube, where everything is automated to such an intensive degree that you have all these false DMCA claims just by virtue of people not being involved.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Discord's like the identity crisis Discord is going through, though. I mean, just this year they were saying they needed more loading screen messages, but they didn't want memes. Meanwhile, how many memes do they have in there already? How many times do they respond to service outages with nothing but memes and emojis? Like, they cannot figure out if they're trying to immerse themselves in the younger community or if they want to present themselves as an official business. And I think that's one of their big problems.
It's a growing pain for a small company, and like I feel like in recent years the popularity a lot.
Yeah, they really did rock it, and I mean, Jesus Christ, it's recent enough for me to vividly remember everyone going like, "Hey, have you used this program called Discord?" Like it's like the
That was like a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's the de facto way to talk to people. Like, you have to use it. And I'm like, oh, sure. I'm looking for anything that's not Skype at this point. Like, please.
Yeah. I feel like Discord is trying to handle it the best they can right now without, like, pissing off. And I think this is, they're doing it fine right now. Other than, like, the whole fantasy group is probably kind of pissed off, but...
But you think it was a better idea to worry about them getting mad as a separate thing for their image overall?
Yes, I do think that's a better move.
I mean, honestly, I can't really fault your logic. When you're dealing with something that could literally be looked at in a lot of American circles as child pornography.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like...
I would drop the... Like, if I was in charge of Discord, I would probably drop the band hammer on that one.
I can't really blame someone for that, you know?
Yeah.
And this,
like...
You first.
Oh, you go.
And this also comes up, 2 months after Steam had that whole kerfuffle with the anime visual novel dating sims possibly getting taken off their service, even though they already have the stuff patched out that would break their rules of conduct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they on there?
Say again?
Are those games still on?
Yeah, the more lewd games on Steam, none of them were taken down. Steam claimed afterwards that Valve claimed afterwards that the notification sent out through Steam that those games would be taken down was a result of human error and not an official declaration from the company.
Okay, cool.
Also, if you're curious, one of the ways they got around it for a while was the devs would just link on their websites to patches you could install.
Yep, an unofficial patch that would install or uninstall certain barriers that had been put into place for things that would violate the code of conduct.
So technically, it's not being provided by Steam. It's a third-party off-site thing, technically provided by the first party.
Yep, the game is technically M-rated, but you can get a link to AO-related content.
Yeah.
It's more or less a...
What?
It's like, it sounds like a official mod.
Yeah, no, that's literally, like, basically what it is. So, I think, you know, like you guys said, it makes sense that with their growing pains as a company, that they're kind of going the hard route on this one, because one Final Fantasy 14 server with a lot of people, or the nation's views on a company tackling pedophilia. Like,
that could, like, murder a company too.
Yeah.
And, like, for a company, say they're still babies.
Oh yeah.
As you say, like, they still don't know what their true identity is right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we pretty much said all we can about this topic.
Yeah.
Move on.
Just one thing I want to say before we move on, just from the article that was linked in the first place. It is a nuisance to me, the fact that the idea of preserving these NSFW links is perpetually linked into LGBT expressions. Like Polygon in their article said that this is a necessary outlet for, and in their own article, they're talking about teenagers dealing with these issues. So the idea of sharing pornography and selfies, which in their opposition to the motion, they are expressly supporting child porn. And I'm not just talking lolly, I'm talking about the members.
Oh, I didn't realize that it was literally referring to teenagers. I saw the thing about it being an outlet for gay communities, which is one thing. But like, that's, to me, that's fine. But yeah, if you're like, oh well, you know, it's a way for teenagers to, you know, find a place where they feel like, no, that's the whole point of what they're trying to argue, is that it's underage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just have to cry at Polygon for that at a moment. I think that you should not throw stones in a glass house.
Yeah.
If you're gonna talk shit about these kind of things being taken down, then don't, I don't know, stoop to their level.
Yeah, it's kind of naive, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out there. I mean, the article put us up to the topic in the first place, but that doesn't mean that we're going to defend the article wholesale.
Yeah.
And also,
Right, cool.
if it weren't for you guys linking it to me, I don't think I'd read Polygon anymore. So
It popped up. I don't really
Yeah, I recently
Read it.
unfollowed them. They had some really dumb topics recently.
only recently, you have stronger substance of yourself than I.
Yeah,
But
really.
yeah, I don't really look at that stuff too often. But yeah, so let's move on to the next topic. San Diego. Woo!
So Eric and I made a list earlier. If it's not too much trouble, Eric, could you forward that to Chris and Taylor in the line?
Yeah, one moment. Let me pause the game.
I'm holding
Hey,
a
listen.
cat right now, and she's so scared.
The one I texted to you, Chris?
Yeah, I just added 2 more things to that list, and you got everything.
Great. So guys, a bunch of really cool and not cool movies were announced at San Diego.
Great.
Oh boy.
The coolest
So-
one is I'm always hyped about because I have a weird fascination with that giant lizard. Sources. I'm dropping some resources, guys.
Okay.
Plus,
Toru?
plus Doctor Who.
So yeah, I was
And
asking if your giant
March.
lizard was the dragon made Toru.
Who is Toru?
Oh my God,
You
Eric.
recommended the show to me.
Oh my lord.
This joke is gonna be run to the ground eventually, but it's not today. You recommended me the show. You don't know the main character's name.
Dragon
Oh!
Lady.
Dragon Maid. Yes, I love Toru.
No, you don't. You liar.
You don't really love her. Oh hey, on the topic of lollies, she's technically 1,000 years old. And I mean,
Oh no,
Kana.
you're thinking of
Kana.
Kama or Kana. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I just meant in
it's super to
general.
see that character.
yeah. I find that such a piss poor defense, but it's a topic for another day. And I'm already face palming hard enough.
I agree with that being a dumb argument, but also I must say, I don't know who that character is. I only got to episode 1.
Fuck's sake!
I hate you so goddamn much, Eric. It's actually unreal.
Good, let the hatred flow through you. Good.
I hate you so
Okay, so back to San Diego Comic Con. Before
So,
we go into the movies, I just want to say this: where are the fucking comics at Comic Con?
It's all in the movies.
There are maybe
Something
2
so-
stories that I could even pretend to give a shit about when it comes to comics at Comic Con.
But Chris,
Silver Screen.
it's gonna be in the movies.
Yeah. I miss when these conventions had comics and you could actually get a ticket once in a while, and you didn't have to get there in the first 30 seconds before they sold out.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's actually insane, and it drives me up a wall how hard it is to get a ticket for Comic-Con.
It's like near impossible, right?
It seriously is. Like
Quite literally.
Tickets for Saturday sold out within an hour and a half.
Ugh.
For Christ's sake, dude.
I know it's San Diego. I mean, New York sells out in what, under
No,
an
that was
hour?
that was for New
That
York.
was New York. Okay.
Yeah, I know because I tried to get to it. Well, my brother, I was gonna go with my brother, and like I was like, Tommy, make sure you sign up for like this loyalty thing so you can get it on time. He's like, okay. The day of, like, so ready to get? He's like, oh yeah, I never signed up. Like, oh great, so I guess we're not going.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I gave up on New York. I think when we were still at school, we actually had a couple guys in class that were what was the word? F5. What does that function do?
F5?
Refresh.
Thank you. My brain is gone. They're refreshing the Comic-Con page and the listings with their sign up and everything. It's like got in the first 30 seconds and they had to wait in the queue for an hour just to get an answer of no.
That's so bad. That's so bad.
Comic-Con does not understand its own scale anymore.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
It was better when nobody gave a shit so we could actually get in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I remember I used to be able to buy from a comic book shop in my town. I was like, yeah, this is perfect. I could buy them at my leisure. I don't have to like pray that I'm one of the lucky few who get the ticket.
Ugh.
Do you think there's some elitist guy out there who's like, at least the non-believers can't go?
I mean, probably.
I can see it.
This is
Considering how much-
this is a nerd community we're talking about.
Yeah.
Self-admitted.
Yep. But yeah, so let's talk about San Diego Comic-Con. So the movies we want. So the big things that showed up were the new Godzilla movie, which I'm in love with.
King of
Shazam.
Monsters.
King of Monsters, yes.
Oh wait, is this the fucking one that the Evangelion writer has been like working on and not doing his actual job on?
4.0 is never going to happen. Just accept it.
I mean, it has a year now.
I'll believe it when it's in my hands.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
No, yeah, they had like a 20-second teaser at the end of some random movie in like a theater in Japan, and it showed like the Evas fighting and shit, and it had a date of 2020. So
Fucks given, 4.0, and counting down.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So,
Are we going through the list, or are we talking just?
let's go
as
through
it
the list and talk. Let's do the list and talk about them.
Okay.
Would you want me to go through it, or are you afraid of me breaking up?
You can go through it, sure. I'm
God.
I have it in front of us anyway, so we can actually see what you're talking about.
If I start breaking up, just take it over for me, okay?
Okay.
Shazam, which looked bad. Aquaman, he wasn't good in Justice League. Glass, Chris knows about. Titans live action, also known as Fuck Batman.
Yeah, I fucking what?
Yeah. Titans Go, which I'm actually kind of secretly excited for. Classic Teen Titans, which I'm beyond excited for.
wait, hold on. There's two. Wait.
There's a lot of Teen Titans.
Yeah,
there's
which one?
like 4.
So is the Teen Titans Go an animated one, or
Teen Titans
Teen
Go
Titans-
is the current cartoon series and recently
Yes.
a movie.
Yes.
okay? And then which one is like the live action?
Live action is just called Titans.
Okay,
Yes.
the characters look like shit. Fight me.
Oh, let's just get through that list because I got a lot to say too.
Yeah, let's just
Oh
go
man,
through
I
this.
have a hot take waiting to come out. Hold me back.
We have Iron Fist 2. Spider-Man, a new Spider-Man thing is coming out. I'm excited for new Venom. He looks beautiful. The Purge TV show, Flash Season 5, Supergirl Season 4, and a bunch of small things like Doctor Who. Alright, that's the list. So,
Okay, so
people
how
have
we
your pickings. I will say that Shazam, I'm not excited for. They kind of put, like in the trailer, they had a couple of jokes that were like time-relevant jokes. I was like, maybe it'll be fine, but I'm not excited for this.
Okay.
Aquaman, I wasn't impressed with his acting in Justice League. So I'm not going to be too excited for that movie. Teen Titans Classic coming back, I will actually throw my money at the screen.
There's conditions though. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, we'll go back to that. Young Justice, didn't know about this until Chris told me about it. Iron Fist 2, the worst superhero show I've ever seen. Venom is a great looking character, and he's my favorite anti-hero, I'm assuming. I used to call him a villain, but apparently now he's an anti-hero. And that's all I have to say. What do you guys want to say?
You got to appreciate the balls of Venom though. On this list, in their trailer, it actually says the world has enough superheroes. Like, really?
Don't we now?
Are they wrong?
I would believe them if they didn't put it in the front of a trailer to a Venom movie.
Fair enough.
And they're not making Eddie Brock a classic Eddie Brock. Like, they're trying to cast him as an anti-hero in this one. He's basically Alex Mercer from Prototype.
Yeah.
Delicious.
So, okay, just like the one big comment I have to make about the Teen Titans thing, like, why did they give Starfire curly hair?
Their costume designer is nowhere to be found because their PR is entirely focusing on the casting of the character rather than costume design.
Yeah, it looks like... Okay. I'm all for, obviously, like, having different, ethnicities in, like, specific roles. Yeah, it looks different than, like, what you're expecting, but whatever. But, like, it doesn't look like her
This can
At
be done
all.
well. I mean, I'm not comparing Marvel and DC here, but Marvel cast Zoe Saldana as Gamora, and she's wearing green face for how many movies now?
Yeah.
And brilliant. You can do this well.
You
And
could
I
have
don't,
used the same actress and like just given her like a different wig even.
there is fan art just color swapping this actress that looks better than the actual thing.
Yeah. I'd actually seen an image going around that had like cosplayers in place of like the actors, and it was like how are these like cosplayers like making their own shit looking better than like these actors in a budgeted film?
Yeah, the people with an
They paid
actual
loads of money.
the people with an actual budget and supposedly talent with rightful access to the IP can't hold a candle to those that are just appreciating it in their own time with
Yeah.
nothing but their own spirit to fuel their ambitions.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think this is a problem because Titans has way too much of that Man of Steel vibe from DCEU, where it's like they basically want to make every hero Batman.
I feel like The Dark Knight ruined DC.
You think?
Keep going.
That wasn't sarcastic. I actually wanted like know if that's how
So-
you feel.
Okay, so like nothing against Dark Knight. Dark Knight, I love it. It's a great series. It was a great trilogy. Beautiful movies. I love them. They're like classics at this point.
Okay.
However, after that, it kind of infested all the other DC movies. You're like, oh, we have to be dark and grungy. Because before this, all like the Batman movies were pretty upbeat and happy, and like kind of cheesy. Which personally, I love Batman and Robin, but I feel like they're all trying to chase the glory of the Dark Knight, and that's just hurting them.
Yeah, they all wanted to Nolanize their franchise to make it gritty and realistic.
Yeah.
So, like, you get Zack Snyder talking about how he wants to ground things in reality, but at the same time, he wants to harken back to Greek mythology or even more Abrahamic myths to try and inspire the characters and their themes and all this horseshit that does not actually congeal into the final product.
That's interesting because as much as okay, I've admitted many times that I am not the biggest authority on comics. But I really do feel that the Dark Knight movies were entertaining. I liked them, and I'm really not a fan of superhero movies. If I get into superheroes, I prefer them in comic form. What little I have actually, read. That being said, I think it was a good move for them to try out doing Batman the way that they did with Dark Knight, because he was always that kind of edgy. I mean, especially in at least the past few decades, the cartoons we grew up with. Because let's face it, animated movies don't count here. As me saying, I don't prefer superhero movies because the animated movies are fucking tight usually. Even to this day, everything that comes out animated tends to have people going, "Why don't you do more of this?"
DC's
That's
knocking
what I
it out of the
say.
park with their direct-to-home movies.
That's what I mean. Like,
I don't get why they don't put these in theaters, though. They actually have pacing, character development, interesting styles, design, cinematography. It's like they only go direct to home with the good movies. Meanwhile, I don't know what they're doing in theaters. The only DC movie I've liked in theaters, like since The Dark Knight, was Wonder Woman. Everything else I'll skip. It's not good enough.
right. But I find it interesting that Eric thinks that Dark Knight is the catalyst, because I can't necessarily disagree with him, but at the same time, I think those are some of the better superhero movies out there.
I know
will
that's
agree.
why I think it hurts them, because they're just
Eric, you broke up, but I think I'm going to agree with you.
yes, let's do that.
I think you're right on this one because it works for Batman. If you're going to quote-unquote Nolanize any character, it does make sense to do it with the one human among the Justice League compared to all the other demigods. Versus them doing it now, they're trying to incorporate those elements into all the other superheroes where they do not thematically fit. Like, Superman does not have to grapple with his mortality. He is the sole survivor. He's already survived. Now he's trying to deal with, I guess, survivor's guilt, but that just does not gel with the character, at least not in the modern incarnation. For Wonder
Right.
Woman, they thankfully didn't do this. They had Gal Gadot do her own thing, and I can't remember the name of the director for that movie all of a sudden. But I'm commending Wonder Woman because they did not follow the same formula. But then you look to Shazam and Aquaman, these trailers coming out, and it just seems like they're trying to chase Marvel. They're not doing their own thing anymore. It doesn't sandwich into their own fiction.
Honestly, I have limited real input on that because I don't know the comics as well as you guys, but it seems to me, like, honest to fucking God, that what it boils down to is they're trying to make a movie for people who really don't give a shit about comics. So they're trying to make movies the same way, and I think it's been a problem with movies. You know, I didn't grow up in the fucking 80s. I grew up in the 90s. And I feel like even when I go back and watch movies from, like, you know, maybe the 70s, the 80s, I feel like they have a certain vibe to them that a lot of modern movies don't. And I know you could argue that that's just the way that movies feel now, but it's not that they're different and I just don't like different. It's that it feels worse. I feel like the writing isn't as strong. I feel like the I feel like the way that they do things is lazier. You know, there's the aesthetic choices that you could argue is fully subjective. The way, you know, the color palettes, the method of shooting. That's not the stuff I really have a problem with. I have a problem with everything feeling like it was written by, like, the same dude in every genre.
Yep. And it's kind of like the same director for all of them, right?
Well, I mean, in general, like, I feel like a lot of comedies feel like the same comedy. I feel like a lot of dramas feel like the same drama. Whereas if you watch things from the 80s or the 70s or something, they have their tropes, sure, but they feel like different. And I feel like there were more, you know, if I'll use even the 90s, you know, at risk of showing preference for where I grew up. I wasn't even into movies when I was younger, so I think I could be kind of given a pass there. You look at a movie by, like, the Coen brothers versus one by Tarantino versus, you know, any of the directors in that cult circle, and they all felt really different. They all felt completely unique, and they were all dramatic. You know, so they weren't, like, totally different genres or anything. Whereas I look at these superhero flicks and they're just like every other action flick out there, and I think that's why I don't like them. They don't really have identity.
Yeah, the formulaic nature of them may be helping the bottom line, but it's very much hindering the creativity of the artistic. What am I even trying to say? It just does not help
the artistic team.
Yeah, it does not help the final product if you're going to look at it as a piece of art. For just a product that a studio is putting out there to make a profit, then yeah, it works. But if you want to enjoy this as anything more than just consumption for 90 minutes to 3 hours, then
right,
it needs to be deeper.
Well, look at I mean, I actually want you to tell me if you think of anything. I don't want this to be like a free point for me or anything. Could you give me, in the past, like, almost, we'll say since the 2000s, really, what hugely classic movies have there been that have, like, come out?
Well, it depends how artsy you want to get. Like, a really good one that came out. Oh, Charlie Kaufman. All of his movies are really, really good, and they're all very unique.
What
this probably says more for my consumption than anything else, but you first. Go.
Oh, who's talking now?
You.
I was saying you go first. I'll do my point in a moment.
Oh, okay. So, for, like, directors of this era, I would say Charlie Kaufman could be out there. He made movies like Sunshine, a Spotlight on the... I can't speak English right now. He made Synecdoche, New York. He made The Eternal Sunshine on Spotless Mind.
Okay.
And all these movies are very like unique to their own style, and they're all very dense and really good. There are a lot of like hidden details in it, and it's just like a work of art. Like we do have some really good directors now, but there's definitely a bunch of them that seem cookie cutter.
Right, and
especially in the Disney fold.
I think a lot of movie buffs could definitely like tell me where to stuff it and why I'm wrong. That's fine because I know I'm probably wrong. But at the very least, I feel like they're at least getting overshadowed. I mean,
Yes.
there are movies from every era that stand the fuck out, and I feel like we're not getting as many.
There's precious little I would actually rate the genre as some sort of major cultural impact. I mean, even the ones that seem to leave the biggest impact on me to recognize that they did not have that wide-reaching cultural appeal. Like, there's anything in horror, sci-fi, fantasy that is derivative or iterative on some arc.
Wait, on somewhat? You were roboting?
You rely on me.
I'm sorry, I'll try again. In just sci-fi, fantasy, horror, everything seems to be either derivative of property or iterating on something that just has no originality to it. It's a pre-existing property. It's just another case of sequelitis. Versus if you go for something like drama or romance, then it's just pure pandering to the either what's the word I'm looking for here? To the my brain is not working today. To the
I know it's struggling.
Oscars, Golden Globes, that kind of thing, where it's just
Right.
it feeds into the industry itself rather than trying to, I don't know, consider the artistic elements or the audience. It's just trying to make its money back and doing something that is easily reproducible. For sci-fi fantasy, the stuff that I would probably pull out, or even horror, like I was talking about Get Out the other time, and I think Get Out is exemplary for horror, not just in that it is a good horror movie, but it's from a comedy author who was able to envelop a certain degree of societal deconstruction in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I very much enjoyed that movie. I think it is entirely competent, and more people should watch it, Eric. But
What?
did you watch it since last time?
Which movie?
Get Out.
Oh, okay, I'll go.
That is both the title and your instructions.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't see it yet.
To be fair, I haven't either.
I'll recommend it. It's just, I'll yell at Eric, but you'll be more polite for.
But yeah,
here's what I recommend. It's like Ex Machina. I think that's very good for transhumanistic exploration.
Oh, Ex Machina was beautiful.
What else can I even say? I mean, maybe it says more about the media I consume than anything else, but I can't remember the last time I went to the movies and saw anything that really left a major impact on me. Only one movie I can actually pick out of my last 10 years, and that would be Mad Max Fury Road, and that was a highly iterative sequel.
Right, here's something funny. The movie that was the most impactful for me at the movie theaters, Princess Mononoke. I saw it 2 weeks ago on it was like a special
nice.
showing. And dude, I've never actually left the movie theater smiling that much. Dude, it was so good. I was like, wow, what?
If you've
where did
waited
we
this
screw up?
long to see it, you're missing out.
Oh, I've seen it already, but I mean, like,
Oh, okay.
I
like-
haven't.
bastard.
Dude!
Yeah,
Okay, now I have to yell at you and Eric!
I've seen most of a single Miyazaki movie, and that's it.
Oh, come on.
But what I want to say is, like, I feel like we've lost the sort of je ne sais quoi of filmmaking.
I think it's
Because,
still
like-
there. I just think it's not popular.
Mm.
And like I said, I could also just prefer the style that some of the older movies had that I don't know. I feel like even just the writing was better. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm wanting something more substantial, I'm actually having to migrate towards the indie market for movies now. And we were
Dude.
talking about this last time. Where
Everything is better indie now. Like, straight the fuck up.
I mean, that's not to say I exclusively watch indie stuff. I still go for like a big production every couple of. Like I watched The Incredibles 2, and it left no impact on me. It's just another Disney. I watched Coco, and it had some interesting but it's just enough.
Oh, it's funny because I felt the same about Coco, to be honest.
I didn't see it.
I saw it
Also,
recently.
I think Chris died.
Yeah. Like, I saw it recently, and the way people were talking about it was like the next Toy Story. I watched it, I was like, this is a good movie, but it's not something like I'm going to rave about.
Really?
Yeah. That's how I felt.
That's interesting.
Honestly, for what Disney puts out in recent memory, I would recommend Coco more than most of it. But I think I'm just burnt out on Disney stuff. Because once you get past the designs that they try to innovate upon, then there's not really much to get at in terms of plot or theme or just not a whole heap of originality there.
Right.
What was I saying before about the indie stuff, where it's like action movies, and most of them going to theaters nowadays, I barely watch because it's all toned down PG-13. It has no bite to it. Whereas, it's going to sound stupid, I'm going to Bollywood for my action now.
Yo, Bollywood's the shit.
It's like, if you want your classic 80s cheese, you need it with Hindi subtitles, apparently.
Well, you could make the argument that it's because they're working with a low. Well, no, they have a pretty big budget, right? Isn't that like part of the fascination around Bollywood is that they actually have like a pretty big budget?
Yeah, it's 110% flamboyant style.
Yeah. I think one of the problems, at least in American movie culture, I can't really speak for how people consume their media overseas for sure, but I honestly feel that a lot of it has to do with our reliance on making things look pretty. I feel
it's like the graphical arms race for consoles nowadays, where visual fidelity is put above all else, and that's extended to movies where the budget is so heavily bloated by not just marketing but also the CG production values that there's no room to actually squeeze in. I thought I facepalmed hard enough earlier.
You were dying a little bit.
I thought I facepalmed hard enough earlier, but I'm gonna leave an imprint.
Yeah.
Maybe I can work for Sauron or Saruman after this. My hand is white enough.
But yeah, I think that's honestly just like we were saying with movies, you know, a lot of things are probably going to go indie soon. I think in the same camp of things being, you know, crossing over, you have this trend of just like in games and music where production value is seeming to be put above creativity. I feel like that's the thing that we're trying to, you know, nail down here. Like, wait, what's wrong? What's different? I think that's it. I think that's really it, that they're putting production value above substance, and that's why the indie market is seeming so interesting, or at the very least, the movies that I'm hearing about, like Birdman and
Oh, Birdman was amazing.
I've heard great things, and what was the one about the hotel?
There's a new one called Hotel Artemis.
No, it came out like
Hotel Transylvania?
No, it came out a couple years ago. It was like everyone fucking ate their shit over this movie.
I have no idea.
Hold on.
Also,
Speaking of
Bear
eating shit, this all boils down to a market trend where it appears that the general consumer is most likely to be enticed by the high fidelity rather than substance, mainly because these films have to be translated for a global audience, and you can't translate themes as well as you can translate just straight dialogue, and you can't translate that nearly as well as you can translate just straight up action and visuals. So I blame the global market.
Really?
Yep. The fact that China is now the largest expanding market, and it's being perpetually sought after by Hollywood. Just look at all the Chinese references that went into Transformers or Iron Man 3, where the idea of pursuing this global domestic product rather than just a national one for their massive projects is leading them to bloat even more into the fidelity so they don't have to invest in the non-translatable elements. So what they can translate is the visuals and the cinematography, and not the dialogue or themes. So it's all coming down to just trying to chase the consumers, whether it's general consumers nationwide or like gross consumers globally. The idea that they are pursuing this massive market rather than trying to make art.
You really think it's having that big of an impact?
I do.
I mean, I can't deny it. You look at all the... I mean, especially in the superhero sphere. Are you not seeing all of these movies in, foreign languages and posters and stuff? So it makes sense. But, I by the way, I found out the name of that other fucking movie that I was, like, everyone fucking loved. The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh, yeah, that got a lot of love.
Yeah, exactly, and it wasn't, like, a movie built on fucking crazy visual fidelity.
The director for that is a very well-respected guy.
But that's exactly my point, is that it was, like, other than, like, the little shout-out it got at, like, award shows, and, I don't know if it won anything, it probably fucking did, no one really heard about it, like, in the general public. I'm sure most people don't remember seeing the trailer that one time. And I'm sure it wasn't a huge commercial success.
I don't know, to be honest, about that.
Before we run the risk of going even further off topic, I just like to remind us that we still have half of Comic-Con to cover, and this was started by DC's live action.
Yeah.
It sounds like, what's the last time we had this problem with? We had this issue with something else before where we just kept going off. Was it
Most recently, I'm thinking it was the EA conference where we just kept talking about Activision Blizzard and a bunch of other studios.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, because it is symptomatic of bigger problems.
Guys, I do need to jump away in 10 minutes.
Okay.
You okay if we wrap Comic-Con and the last story without you?
Oh yeah, no, it's no problem.
Okay, and we just don't want to blindside you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep rolling like nothing is happening.
But
Okay.
dude, you know what one of my favorite comic book movies of all time is? The fucking first Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I was literally about to say that.
I love
Seriously,
that
did a great job
fucking
of that.
movie.
And it was so unexpected, too. I mean, nowadays you always get these conventional directors that seem like they're the best fit for the project. Would you imagine a horror director doing a live-action adaptation of a comic book character like Spider-Man set in a real city like New York in the early 2000s?
Dude, exactly. And you look at it and it kind of makes sense in a weird way, because he blended horror and comedy in a way that was, like, unprecedented at the time. And you look at it and you're like, yeah, I guess that makes sense for doing something like...
Yeah, it was an unusual fit for most action movies coming out in that season, but it was a great fit for comic books and their adaptations.
Yeah, because think about it, comic book stories are dramatic, but there's also, there's humor in it, and then there's the real dark shit that happens with the villains, and...
Oh, by the way, speaking of, like, horror and all that, Willem Dafoe, the guy who played Green Goblin,
yeah,
doesn't he have just, like, the creepiest smile?
Oh, I fucking love Willem Dafoe. Have you ever seen, what was that movie he was in?
John Wick?
No, it was a really weird piece. It was another kind of like hoity-toity people loved it, but it was still, like, really good.
If you say live-action Death Note, I'm leaving.
No, it was it called Antichrist?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard that got bad reception.
Oh yeah.
Have no memory of him in that. Huh.
I do. You see him plowing very hard in that movie.
I'll have to look that up later, ideally with a safe search filter on.
Good luck.
You can't hide from the Defoe.
Yeah, you really can't.
Defoe of decency.
His fucking dadong.
You let me get away with way too much.
What?
Defoe of decency. Defoe of decency.
Oh, I know. I know. I just fucking.
And also that Switzerland joke earlier. You would have shouted me down for that.
I'm letting you have it today. I'm letting you have it. We got to get ourselves back on track.
We should have you caffeine deprived more often.
Yeah, right? This boy's like half asleep. He misses all these puns.
I actually really don't drink caffeine.
I drink meth.
High five, dude. I gave it up years ago.
Hell yeah. I mean, it never really... I'm one of the people who was never really too affected by it, but in return, I get clinical mania, so yay.
Dude, I like... So, like, coffee doesn't really do too much sugar. Like, a thing of cake.
They don't do what?
Or cookies. I just, like, bounce off a wall.
Oh, so you're a sugar boy?
Yeah, like, sugar makes me, like, flip out. Like, I start breathing really fast, my eyes go back and forth, and I start talking, like, this fast, but faster.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, dude. It's like, have you seen, Futurama when Fry drinks like 100 cups of coffee?
Oh, and then everything just fucking slows down?
Yeah, that's just me. As soon as I eat
I
a little
love
bit
that
of sugar.
so much.
That's such a good episode.
Oh yeah, that was
good
one thing
show.
I forgot on the list, actually. Matt Groening had Disenchantment at the con.
Oh, yeah!
Cool.
That looks really good.
I can't wait.
Although, to be honest, okay, I like Matt Groening's work. I'm excited, but it reeks of Netflix. It just fucking reeks of Netflix. Like, fucking things are having the same goddamn tone over and over again.
Yeah, Netflix should just be a service provider, not a genre.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's exactly my point. Is like they tend to put these things out where I'll go through, like, I'll watch the trailer for like 3 different Netflix properties, right, that have literally nothing in common with each other. Not genre, not tone, nothing in common with each other. And I'll go away from it going, that looked good, and then I'll like kind of rewind it in my head and go, wait a minute.
I've seen this before.
Wait, they were all the same. Like,
Wait, Big Mouth?
wait, what?
Have you seen Big Mouth?
I've
The Netflix show?
seen trailers of it, but I've never actually seen it.
The show itself is very Netflix. It has like a couple funny scenes, but the rest of it is just painful. Like, really painful to watch.
Really? Because I heard good things about it.
All
I
I've
don't
seen
know.
are quote-unquote highlights that just make me think it's going to be needlessly juvenile and or pervy.
Yeah, like...
That's
pervy
the
jokes are
criticism
actually
I hear.
The pervy jokes are actually the funniest jokes in there. Like, they go to Porn Island one day, but we don't need to talk about that. But I'm just saying, like, it's just so, like... The show was, like, made for Netflix, if you know what I mean.
Well, and that's what's weird to me is that for for ease of use here, I'll say network. For a network that's so built on like,
Stream.
oh yeah, we'll greenlight it, sure, why not? You know, it's oddly. I don't know. You would. I guess my bottom line is for a network that tries to say like we include so many people who do so many different things and we're willing to try anything. They really seem to play it safe by having things all feel the same.
Indeed.
Like,
I feel that.
it's weird. I don't know. I don't like it.
Become one.
Yeah.
It's get simulated.
Yeah, like I feel like it's a fucking Borg. Like,
Well, also apparently, like Netflix has some very hostile work ethics.
really?
Yeah, like if you are not of use to them years, but you had no more use for them, they will can you without a second thought.
Oof. So they're kind of trying to play it up ruthless to stay relevant.
Very brutal.
And you know, I'll also totally give it a benefit of the doubt that I haven't watched a lot of the Netflix originals for myself, so maybe they're just.
Just watch Iron Fist and you'll have a great time.
I mean, I'm the one who heard good things about it, so
And then you heard wrong.
Maybe, but
Because that show is a trash fire.
my bottom line is the couple of Netflix originals I have watched seemed pretty alright. So maybe it's just the trailers all have the same fucking feel to them.
See, I wonder if the people who make the show do the trailers, or does Netflix take care of that for them?
It's
by
got-
sending it to their
dude.
own in-house.
It's gotta be Netflix. There's no way all this shit looks the same and isn't done by the exact same people.
Because, like, that would make sense then.
Exactly. And then it wouldn't be as big of a deal. Like, okay, for example, and this, I feel like this actually kind of goes in line with the same fan bases that would go to Comic-Con. Have either of you, I'm not counting Tay because I know she hasn't, have either of you watched Lucifer?
No.
Nope.
Okay, first of all, I personally recommend it. I like it. But they got canceled, and I think it was honestly because of the Fox merger.
Damn it,
Because
Disney.
I mean, it's about Lucifer, so
Yeah.
so they got canceled, and then like right away, like everyone was like, "No, don't cancel Lucifer," and Netflix to the fucking rescue, dude. They came right back and were like, "Nope, we got it. Don't worry." And
We got you, fam.
yeah, and I honestly, from what I read, the cast is like really excited about it, and they think it'll be really great for the series because they already didn't pull very many punches. It was a pretty gritty show, and now it's like, oh, like we're gonna put more, more gore and stuff like that. We don't have to work with like as many rating restrictions, and I believe that if you're making I wouldn't blame a fan of the show for being like, oh, I hope they don't go overboard and just use this as an excuse to get fucking weird with it. But at the same time, you're making a show about Satan.
Yeah, like, you can get a little weird with that.
You're making a show about the literal devil, so you got to expect that there's probably some of that they wanted to do in the first place. But that being said, they seem really positive on, working with them and doing things their way. So I honestly have pretty high hopes that they're going to not ruin the fucking series, but at the same time, I don't know what to think because of the whole Netflix original syndrome. So,
Well, if you're thinking about it like that, then but Netflix is going to have far fewer originals if they're just continuing shows that other networks have cut off.
yeah, I mean, that's true.
Guys, I need to take my leave at this point.
All right. You know what?
it's
Why
gonna-
don't we make this we'll cut here for this topic and make it a part 2 then.
Oh, great.
We'll bid you a fond farewell then.
Bye, Eric.
Well, bye.
Okay, so we have one more topic.
That's a shame too. There's so much stuff at SDCC. But our last topic then.
I think there's just that discussion kind of needed to happen.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm not done yet, but do you want to continue with the Comic-Con next stream?
Yeah.
Great. All right. Talk to you guys later. Peace.
See ya.
Yeah.
So, who wants to introduce the last one that I kind of feel a sick, told you so feeling about?
Let's give it to the cat.
Hi, I was actually gone for the past 5 minutes.
Oh.
Had to take care of more cat things.
Some kind of be right back would have been nice.
It was kind of an emergency.
Okay, is everything all right?
So, yeah, no, just, Ling was, like, trying to, like, escape from my lap, so I had to take her out to the kitchen. Yeah. Anyway, so wait, what's the last topic?
Sega.
Oh, let me, like, get the quote.
God.
Let's see here.
Like I said, I feel a sick I told you so here.
we've seen the... Wait. Okay. The Sega Europe vice president says that interest in Japanese developed games on digital stores like Steam has been especially strong in the last 18 months. Quote, we've seen the growth of Japanese IP on Steam on PC. That never existed before. End quote.
Now, I've said before that, in fairness to Japanese devs, Japan is not a PC gaming nation, like, at all. And that's partially because portability is key. So many people spend so much of their day fucking traveling that they literally just don't have the time. But that being said, you know, gaming is an international market, and the PC market keeps saying, give us games, we want to play the games, we really are interested in your games. And they're like, yeah, whatever. But like, but no, like, we really are though. And no, this is really positive. And we were saying in the pre-show that, you know, Sega's always been, say what you will about Sonic the Hedgehog, but they've always seemed to be pretty good about their role as a publisher. And, you know, it's pretty forward thinking to bring something like the Yakuza series to PC, to the point where, like, I think I remember our friend Pete saying, like, oh yeah, don't worry, you'll never see a Yakuza game on PC. And I was like,
here we are.
Yeah, and like, I'm not even throwing it back in his face. I fucking get why he said it. You know, it's just, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing they would do. But, you know, again, here we are. Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really fucking happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's unsurprising, really. I mean, if they're going to compare the PC market in the West to the market in the East, of course they're going to see increases once they actually start distributing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an increase from zero. Like,
it's like, unless their costs to get things up and running were extravagant, then it could only improve their situation.
Yeah. But and that's, look, I fully, as usual, welcome anybody to tell me, hey Chris, you're fucking wrong on this. Like, that's fine. But I just have a hard time feeling sympathetic about PC porting because it's a computer. Like, before, I get it. Like, the console wars have been a thing for a long time. It's not fucking new. But it was always the kind of thing where, you know, a company would say, we need something new, we need something fresh, let's, you know, make a console, and it'll get our point across on what we're trying to provide in the gaming market. So, you know, the Genesis focused on their, you know, processing, and, you know, didn't have as strong of a sound chip in it, or it didn't have what's the word I'm thinking of? Some of the graphical fidelity was
Flash processing.
Shut up, that's not real. It's not fucking real. The biggest lie in the industry.
Yeah.
I'm calling them out. I'm doing it. No, but you know, their designs for their game pads were unique. I mean, Sega was the console to play fighters on for a while because they had the fucking 6-button pad. You know, all these kinds of things were proof that every company was trying to do something their way, on their terms. Now, that being said, somewhere along the line, gaming consoles started to progress, as, you know, it's to be expected. And then, like, out of nowhere, you turn and they're all NVIDIA PCs. So I kind of have a hard time believing Especially, did you hear about the Monster Hunter release, Chris?
Are we talking on PC?
Yes.
Or what? What specifically are we talking about with it? Because I've heard a couple things.
It had like terrible crashing issues apparently at launch.
Monster Hunter hasn't launched on PC yet. It's coming out the 9th of next month.
Well, supposedly, I guess anything that wait, are you sure?
August 9th. It comes out a week after the Behemoth event.
Well, in any event, whoever had
the pre-release copies.
Yeah, I was gonna say whoever's been playing it has been like really, really having problems with it, because all I'm reading is, terrible crashing issues, and I'm sitting here going, dude, it was developed on a fucking X64 platform, the PS4. Like, what's the problem here? You just port it to PC, and I have less sympathy because, they said, we're waiting to port it until fall so we can really make it great. Well, what happened so far? Like, you
7 months later, and all I'm hearing is that these tech issues are all tangled up in de novo, possibly.
Well, that's
we're just talking about Sega, and they had to update the de novo in Sonic Mania, and that has significantly hurt the performance of the game.
Yeah, to the point where, people are uninstalling, and everyone needs to stop just treating the PC market like a bunch of pirates who don't actually want to play games.
Yeah, these anti-piracy measures only hurt the people that are actually paying for it. The pirates are going to crack it.
Yeah.
You buy yourself a week, maybe 2 tops, by installing this kind of stuff.
But, and the thing is, in my experience online and, with meeting people in person, even if it takes a month or 2 months, those are the people who aren't going to buy it until it's cracked anyway. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. They're not going to, like, oh, wow, it worked. It wasn't cracked for 30, 40 days. Those people aren't going to buy it anyway, though. They were going to wait the 40 days.
Yeah, this is a whole can of worms, the idea of piracy actually impacting the bottom line of the lawful market.
Yeah. Like,
I think we've already touched on it briefly with our talk on emulation, though.
Oh, absolutely. But it's coming back in full force now because you have companies saying, well, we want to expand to the PC market. We're going to do a port, sure, great, whatever. And then it comes out and it's loaded with, you name it. Street Fighter V had a fucking rootkit.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but it was somebody talking about how after they bought a copy of Sims 2013, they pirated it just so they could get rid of the always online functionality.
Yeah. That is very common for a lot of pirated copies of a game to be from paying customers who don't want to be treated like criminals.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to, how can I even phrase this? I'm not looking forward to the next iteration on anti-piracy software, because the current measures are not working, and they're negatively impacting the audience, and now the audience is being vocal about it. They're going to try something new. I don't know how soon it's going to be, but de novo may soon be a glowing afterthought if they have to do something even more invasive.
Oh, no, absolutely. But, I mean, at that point, no one's going to buy the games. Like, they're treading a thin line. They really are. Because de novo is still something that most consumers are like, okay, whatever, like, if you really don't want me to fucking pirate your game, I get it, like, sure. The paying customers. I mean, I've seen on, pretty evenly divided message boards, people being like, well, what's the problem? It really doesn't do anything. And then other people are like, well, no, it says it does. People say it does do things. And then they come back and say, well, those people were unreliable. And, it's still within territory that's people are willing to bear it. But like, what are you thinking is like the next nightmare scenario?
I wonder what they would do, because they've already tried some of the limited installation thing to try and link it to a single hardware setup. They've already tried online passes, and de novo, where it's trying to check in online all the time, is getting all this backlash.
Yeah.
My best bet would be that they... I'm not sure.
I really don't know where they could go from here. I mean, without literally physically watching you. Like,
the only thing I can think of, and this is probably going to sound crazy, is that they make it hardware mandatorily integrated and distribute via cart. Like, could you imagine a PC plugging via USB?
Well, wait. You're thinking of what are basically arcade dongles.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no. When you buy an arcade machine, a lot of times it comes with some kind of hardware that if it is not running and providing serial information, then you can't run it. Honestly, okay.
Thinking of that, you first go.
No, I'm not encouraging it necessarily, but I might prefer that because at least it's something you can buy and sell physically.
I mean, it's superior to the current physical media for these kind of PC games. Like, it's going to beat CD, DVD, Blu-ray any day of the week.
Right.
Especially with the advancements on storage capacity and with reading rate.
But they'll just be generated anyway. They'll just fucking copy it.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to figure out how they even could do like a mandatory physical input for it. It's like, this does not fit into the current Steam ecosystem of a digital gaming economy.
Oh, no, nobody's going to fucking want to deal with it. No one's going to want to deal with it.
I think that if they want to integrate a anti-piracy measure like that, they're going to have to very heavily consoleize the PCs, and that's going to create even bigger backlash, but I'm not seeing another good way for them to do it.
Well, PCs are already consoleized. It's called the PS4.
Very true.
And the cable box one.
The Xbox One, I mean, that's literally Windows.
Yeah. But at least Microsoft has the common decency to say, well, if you're a PC player, we'll give you both.
Thanks for Windows Play Live, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, like, at least they're forward-thinking about it. But... once again, the indie market is just like, whatever. Did you hear what the Slay the Spire devs did recently?
No idea.
They are fucking awesome. Dude, buy Slay the Spire if you haven't already, people. It's such a good game. They found out via the community that someone was selling their game on Amazon. They were selling keys, and it was really bad. It was like, you know how the whole game is 2D, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all like drawn art. It was like, 3D combat, like the console hit, but it's not on anything but PC right now. They honored all the copies. They're like, yeah, we're working with Amazon to honor the copies, or with Steam or whoever it was. They're like, yeah, we're working with them to honor the copies. Oh, I think it was being sold through GOG keys. That was it. They were taking the DRM-free GOG install and selling it on Amazon with a launcher over it. Like a proprietary launcher that like some dude in like fucking China probably coded. And they were like, no, we're working with them to authorize them and actually give the people who bought it real copies of the game on GOG.
They are really going to stick it to whoever was reselling them then, because they're going to recoup that some way.
But that's my point. Don't treat your audience like criminals, even when they were literally accidental criminals.
Yeah, I mean, how many stories have we heard in recent years of stolen Steam keys from different regions being resold, and then the copies have to be deactivated because, according to various laws, it is technically stolen property that has to be returned. So if you bought a key that was incorrectly assigned to you, and I'm using big air quotes for incorrectly assigned, then it's going to be reclaimed.
Right. And I'm not saying, like, I get it that they want to chase down the people who did wrong, but and this is kind of an extreme example of kindness by the devs, but it's just that the notion that they said, man, you tried to support us. You know what I mean? They're not taking it personally, and they just want people to play their fucking game. And I know it's one example, and people keep coming back to it. But what was that game that people were downloading because they put it on the Pirate Bay? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they
Shit,
literally
what was that?
put their own game on the Pirate Bay and said, look, we understand not everybody has the money to buy games. You have rent, you have other things to pay for. Games aren't always the first thing on your list. All we ask is if you're going to download it illegally, do it from us directly for free. It won't be illegal then. We're providing it. And at least, like, hey, tell people, tell your friends, you know? If you play it and you like it, just, you know.
Well, and the sales of their game ended up like tripling after that.
Yeah, the sales skyrocketed. And I'm not saying it would happen every time, but the bottom line is, you know, people like to demo things first of all, and I'm not advocating, you know, not supporting devs. I buy a shit ton of video games. A fucking shit ton. But, you know, the people who are, you kind of have to lean into it, is my point. The people who pirate things aren't going to just magically stop. They're going to find ways around it, and if they can't, they're going to say, nah, and move on to something else. There's something else that'll hold their interest. And the people who do pay for your game are not going to want to be treated on the same level as the people who are literal criminals in that situation.
Yeah, give it to the devs on this one. I mean, community goodwill will buy you a lot of PR, and ideally the community will buy more of your product as a result.
Yeah, at least if it's a good product, and apparently theirs was.
Kudos to them on that. I wish I knew what game that was. I have no memory of it.
I'll link you, and we can like tweet about it or something.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a smashing hit for gaming PR to be like, look guys, we get it. People are broke. We'd rather you play our game than not play it. So, and you know, given the choice, dude, it makes sense. After I finished Doki Doki Literature Club, I bought the fan pack. You know, I didn't owe them anything. They provided me a free game. I played it and enjoyed it. So I kicked them a few bucks for, you know, a little art book and some storyboard stuff because I enjoyed it. It was worth my time, and it was worth some kind of financial compensation. Like, there's nothing wrong with treating your fucking audience like human beings. And I think a lot of companies need to fucking remember that.
So fingers crossed that the Monster Hunter issues are resolved before World launches on PC.
Yeah, go figure. I'm fucking livid, dude. I'm serious, and like, God, I want to do this topic, possibly next week if you guys are up for it. I want to talk about true exclusivity. Because,
or the complete lack thereof in the present day.
Yeah, no, that's... I'll foreshadow it by saying fighting EX layer. That's all.
Okay. So, yeah, that's Capcom, and I guess in the world of Sega, we have to give them one last hurrah for their old console slogan. Sega does what Nintendo don't, and that's publish on an expanding PC market.
Well, supposedly. We don't know yet. Also, Fighting EX Layer was Arica. Did Capcom actually publish it?
No, I was saying Capcom in reference to Monster Hunter, not Fighting Layer EX.
Oh.
Clear on that. I'm sorry.
Are you familiar with Fighting Layer?
I've seen it. I haven't actually gotten to play it yet.
Do you know where it came from?
Go for it.
It's an old arcade title, and a lot of the characters were crossed over into the Street Fighter EX series. They worked with Capcom, which is why I was saying, like, oh, wait, what? But this is, like, their first time bringing it back in, like, fucking years. Like, the last EX3, Street Fighter EX3 was the last one in, like, the PS2 era. And I don't... this is where I'm shaky. I don't remember if Fighting Layer came first or if EX came first. But there was an arcade presence for the actual Fighting Layer series without the Street Fighter characters in it, which is why it was crazy for them to bring this back, because there were so many cool characters that just went nowhere because they weren't technically Capcom's. So once the EX series had played itself out, they were like, okay, thanks Arica, that was fun.
I'll have to check that out later then. I don't know much about it.
they're really cool. I really like the games, but yeah, we'll talk more about the exclusivity thing because I like Arica, but I'm a little worried about their statement. So, suspense, awe, shock.
Mm.
So yeah, I guess little teasing for Fighting Layer EX. We're closing on the Monster Hunter stuff until the game actually comes out.
Yeah.
And on the topic of Sega, I just hope they keep publishing stuff because it still seems like more of their stuff is on. How can I put it? My brain is not playing nice today. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. We all have them. Days like that. Mine are more common.
I'm glad they're expanding outside the console market. I mean, they still have some console exclusive stuff, like the next Bayonetta is only going to be on the Switch. But
Oh, really?
yeah, I mean, Nintendo was responsible for Bayonetta 2, and they kept up the exclusivity. Although we have no idea when it's coming out because they didn't tell us anything about Bayonetta 3 since last year.
But see, like, I'm more okay with that, and I'll shut my mouth because we'll just have to wait for the topic.
I mean, I'm glad it exists at all, but the exclusivity is still a bit of a prick in the side.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I think that's all we got for today. We covered a lot of ground about fucking bullshit today. Fuck that, man.
Yep, we're already down one prick, and the three of us can finally leave.
Hey, you just said prick. You can't use it twice.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
It's a thorny subject. What do you want me to
Okay,
say? That
you're
does
done.
stem from
You're
some
cut.
source?
You're cut off, kid. You're done. You're done. All right. Bye, guys.
You rose to the occasion. Goodbye.